Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. We are so excited to have Arkansas on board and very excited to move forward with having you all as a client for our program, ZSuite. We have two other software products that Arkansas isn't using currently, which is Clover Academy, our LMS system, and Zing Books, which is online record books. ZSoft Technologies is the parent company. So the reason why we call it ZSuite is it's a suite. So as y'all move forward, then the suite becomes a bundle, and our platforms are all integrated. So that really helps you all at the state and county levels do the administration, pull reports that you need. And with having that information integrated, it truly becomes a one-stop shop as far as managing your 4-H program. My name is Erica Jeffries, and I wear a lot of different hats for the company. Myself and Jake are the primary people you'll talk to on the chat support, which I'll touch on here shortly. But I also do sales and marketing. I oversee the website. I will also share here in a little bit our tip sheet section. So if there are help materials that you're going to need as y'all move forward, please let me know, along with any video ideas you may have. I also manage our social media network. So we are on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So please like and follow. I'm trying to do my best to build that, build the audience but also have those tools out there so families, volunteers, and admins can get those little tips. And it's not as long and drawn out as a formalized training, but then another hat I wear is also training. So, as we move forward, I want y'all to, the primary takeaway from today is that this is not going to be the last time you talk to me or Jake, probably. You are supported in this platform. There's no such thing as a bad question. And having worked with 4-H programs, I used to work for the University of Idaho 4-H program. I worked as a 4-H program coordinator for 8 years, and I was at the state office for 7 years. I administered 4-H Plus, and I also administered 4-H Online for Idaho. I actually became a client of this company, transitioning our state at that juncture to record books. And it still kind of boggles my mind that as far as how ZSoft got started was just strictly on online record books. So in the past 4 years, there's been a lot of change, a lot of growth in our company. And so what you're going to see now has definitely morphed, and it's been a lot of work, but we're not done, and not done by a long shot. So we are going to develop new tools. We just got notification we received a grant, so that will go a long way in us developing a fair tool. I would suspect there will be an animal identification component to that as well. We also have a quiz bowl tool and a judging tool. So if you've had to go through the hand process of doing the Hormel scoring, that's part of your life that you won't get back. I apologize for that, but I completely empathize on how that works. So those two, so the big impetus is we are moving forward. It's very important that you all have tools that are relevant, that they're supported. But as a state team, you all should feel comfortable with this system. And I've seen it firsthand that the use of the system is a direct reflection of how the system is perceived and the efficacy people have as far as using the system. So if you feel at any juncture a training is needed, that's what I'm here for. That training goes a long way from changing a negative or a frustration standpoint to having it, be viewed as something positive. I do understand and fully understand that wearing a target happens. Change is hard. We have to navigate that, but the biggest part of your audience is sitting on that fence, and you're going to have those early adopters, but we want to get the rest of that fence. And if there's trainings or things that happen, and I'm certainly the first to admit, we have to make changes. That's the nature of the beast with working with the software company, and that's where Jake and I come in. So I'm going to do a little screen share here and give you kind of what elements I'm going to be talking about and reviewing with you all. We have a small group, but as I transition through these topics, I'll check for questions, and I'll definitely try to save some time to the end for questions we may miss. Emma's going to also help monitor chat for me, but we'll talk about the support piece in the help sheets, and that's basically the first touch point with the platform. We'll go over the dashboard and kind of your initial login. You go to the dashboard as a state admin, and there's a lot of information at the surface level that you don't have to hunt through. So you're basically looking at a one click and you get a return for information. And so I'm a big fan on reducing clicks and having information pretty surface level. We'll go through events and how to set up payment adjustments for events, what that calendar looks like and how that populates with information. We have a manage accounts tab in the system. And then there's a sub menu below that goes counties, households, enrollments, group enrollments. And then we also have, it's an external email platform, but it's called MailJet. And so we'll go through email and you can pretty much say goodbye to boring emails, and especially emails that are no longer branded. And then you get the metrics to see if people are actually reading your emails. So I'm very excited to show you our system. Let's go ahead, hop right into it. Should take you. Okay, so can everybody see this landing page, 4h.zsuite.org? Okay, if you were to just type in zsuite.org, that would take you to our website. I do have a redirect. We do get folks that sometimes think that that's the landing page for 4-H. There are other services that we provide. We are the gateway for National 4-H shooting sports training modules. So we have a link to the Shooting Sports College on our website. We do the state fair books for Florida State Fair. So there's other products that we have, but there is a redirect that will send people to here. A couple of things on our landing page. And if I was logging into, once you get logged in, as a state admin, you're going to see in this lower right-hand corner, the chat window pop up. And so at any point, once you get into the system, if you have a question or something's not working or you get stuck, that's what chat is for. And we do chat live Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time. If it's something you're working on in the weekend or after hours, then that chat will go to email. And Jake and I address those first thing the next business day. You'll also notice here in the lower right-hand corner, this little blue instrument. So if you need, or if you have users that need to make accessibility adjustments, and so I'll pop that open real quick. There's Accessibility is the tool, and it's built in. English can be will be the default, but you can make changes to color, font size, any of your accessibility adjustments that you need to make this viewing this platform more, user-friendly for you. You can make color adjustments, dark contrast, light contrast. You can change your color saturations. You can also change orientations. You can mute sounds. Not that right now you're going to have a lot of sounds built in on this side of the system, but there's several adjustments. This is all ready to go for you and your users, and that's available at all levels. So I wanted to showcase that. Just so you're aware, and if you do get questions, if your families are new, and that being they haven't used shooting sports, they're brand new, they would click sign up. And there's a pop-up window that basically walks them through the steps of establishing their household. So the structure of their household, if you will, is there's a household account. The primary account is the gateway for enrollment and event registration. And the reason for that is mom and dad need to provide consent for their kid on doing these things. If it's a standalone, then you have your household profile, then you have your subsequent volunteer. If it's one, you'll have one volunteer profile, and that'll have also attached to that individual's enrollment. And that will serve as their access point to Clover Academy if you all decide to move forward with the LMS, which is the platform we house volunteer trainings on. We also do digital curriculum for kids. So just to give you a little bit of the lay of the land. And so once they do that, they'll log in, and this is set up for you. So we're going to log in as the state admin. The login information to access the demo site as a state admin has been provided in the chat. It's ardemo@stateadmin.com. Password is all lowercase, and that is test, T-E-S-T. So we'll go ahead and click login. So when you initially log in, you're brought to what is called the dashboard. We have this main menu on the left-hand side. And so we'll work through navigating these different elements. But you'll see here's the live chat. So chat is up right now. So as you work through the system, if you get stuck, even if it's on the test site, you can still access Jake and I. And we also have a built-in repository of tip sheets. So as I said before, if there is a tip sheet that you need or would like to see, please let me know, because I am the maker of those. But there is a whole entire repository for state admins, adding your shared files, creating announcements, managing households, managing counties and districts, and then customizing state settings. So it really delves into the fee adjustments, group enrollments, admin account management, and so forth. So there's a lot of information on there. There is a tip sheet. So our platform is responsive. It's not an app, but you can create an app shortcut, and it looks like an app on your phone. So typically when you're at the state level and you're doing an event and there's something that comes up, you can log right into the platform on your phone. But we'll go ahead and go back in. So from the dashboard, just very quickly, you can create announcements. You just simply click the plus sign. You can edit. Your announcements can stay on there as long as you want. You set a show until date. I have not maxed out the text on this. I don't know how many characters are on there, but it's to briefly announce the who, what, when, where. You can hyperlink. You do have some text tools as far as a subscript type, superscript. You can change your font size, change your text color. But for the most part, when you create announcements at the state level, that goes to all levels, all users, county and the household. So it's a great way to put information out to everybody. Same with the shared files. So if you have a new family handbook, if you have some sort of document that welcomes 4-H families, you can certainly add that. Or it's also a great way for any of your larger events, maybe that you're trying to target to teens or so forth, you can add that there. You will get a preview of club leader approvals. This will be more in play for your county admins, but it does show up at the state level. At the state level, if a state registration approval is required, you get a quick, preview of, okay, what registrations are needing approved. So you can click easily on that hyperlink that will take you to that particular event and those registrations that need approved. And then you also get a snapshot of pending club member volunteer enrollments. And then you also get a breakdown as far as where your enrollments are shaking out as far as project engagement. And that's all within the one click. There's a lot of information disseminate there, but it is very easy for you to kind of get a quick look at what is happening there. We have any questions on the dashboard?
I've been calling it in my head the bird's eye view.
Yeah, that's a great way to phrase that. Yeah, very good. So in our report section, we have several canned reports, and we also have the ability to do custom reports. Given that we're working in a demo state, we don't have a lot of data to work from. As you work through this, active counts by county, this will give you a breakdown of where your numbers are in terms of total number of volunteers, and I should say active volunteers, active members, and the total for that county. So as your state gets more enrollments, that information will populate. You can get a breakdown of county admin accounts, state admin accounts. It'll just give you the breakdown of the name, phone number, email, account type, whether they have a county or district admin account. Club details. So you can choose by county, you can choose statewide, you can choose as club status. So as your clubs come forward, you can filter that for active status for your clubs or inactive status. If you're working specifically with certain projects, you can pull a report members and projects. So if you're trying to target perhaps youth that are in beef and dairy projects, you can run a targeted report based on that member type, and then that will give you the member's name, email, and county. So that will serve as a gateway. You can export that list. You can do targeted emails to those members, or if you're wanting to target perhaps teen leaders for a statewide conference, you can certainly do that. You can pull a project leader report, so you can filter that by project type, and then we would be in 23-24, but you can filter that as when we roll into the new year, and as data comes in, you can filter by project type, and it'll give you a breakdown of the leaders in your count or in your state as far as by project type, whether it's rabbits, sheep, swine, or so forth. And then member waivers. So the nice thing about the waivers, for the waivers that you've built in on the enrollment side, and I can show you that, you can choose what county, you can specify what waiver you want to pull. So a lot of you will probably want to pull, okay, did mom and dad consent to a photo release? And on this, less is more. If you're doing a statewide event, I don't usually do a start range, end range on the 4-H ages. You can drill that down. You can pick a club. Oh, let's see here. I don't want it. I don't want project type. Okay, there we go. So if you don't select the project type, but you do select the club, it will allow you to pull the waiver. You get a preview what the verbiage is for Sally Clover, what was consented to, and the signatures, and then that carries forward for the other child or other children in that particular club.
Erica,
So
we have
on
a couple questions about reports. I think this is a good time to
Sure.
ask them. The first one is when we do custom reports, can we share them with other users?
When custom reports are done at the state level, they can be saved, and that will share with counties. As far as sharing with volunteers, there is not the ability yet to share custom reports with volunteers, but you can run the report. You can export the data either in a CSV for the volunteer, or you can export it as a PDF. So let me demonstrate that real quick. So on the custom report side, do you have your ES 237 report? We do have a report that allows you to pull for tracking for dual county, either members or volunteers, but custom report gives you a lot of different options. You can pull by enrollment data set, club project data set, group enrollments, waivers, or events. And there is a separate event report tool where you can build in your event registration fields. But we'll demonstrate here on the enrollment side. And then you can filter down by enrollment status. Active, canceled, pending, in progress. So we'll go just for demonstrations, active, pending. And then you would click run. If you click load, that will prompt you for your saved reports. So what you'll see here is it'll pull a bunch of fields. And so our system is a little different in that it'll pull everything in that enrollment data set. So if you go to fields, then you can customize kind of what information you need. So if you unclick the select all, then everything is in alphabetical order. So you can go through, okay, do we need 4-H age? Perhaps we need birthday. If you need your birthday broken out into the different columns, we're kind of building a spreadsheet here. So you could make it easy so you don't have to break apart the birth date. Cell phone number for text messaging. Did you participate in 4-H? Email address. We can go enrollment status, enrollment type, first name, last name, member type. And then you can add in any of the parent guardian information you need, primary club, and then volunteer type. That'll give you the breakdown on the types of volunteers that you have, and so forth. Oh, and we do have t-shirt size incorporated in there. So once you check the information that you want and click apply, then if you want to reorganize it, you can either drag and drop your fields. It'll give you a way to reorganize and reorient the columns. And I like that because it's a little bit easier. You can also drag and drop from within this section too. And then once you have the information the way you want it to look, you can export. So you can export to print, you can export to a web link, CSV, Excel, image, PDF. But then you can also click save. And so then as your enrollments come in, and let's say you just need a report that captures all of your enrollments to date, then you could save this enrollment report as that. And then once you click submit, it'll say okay. So then when you come back, there's your report. You can click load, and as your enrollments come in, it'll pull, and so it'll keep refreshing itself. You don't have to recreate the report, if that makes sense. So again, as far as saving, if there is like some sort of report that you need to have consistent from the state level, information is necessary for all your counties, then build your report template, save it, and then your county admins, once you share that report name with them, they click load or go to custom report, click load, then that report will load for them. And then just be sure to tell them if they're doing a custom report, add in the misnomer of, okay, what data set are you pulling from? Whether it's your lion's share of this is going to be your enrollments, but if there's a different field or a different data set that you're pulling from, let them know what data set to navigate to. And then as you build your enrollment information, then you'll have the ability to toggle back to further years. So 2-3, 2-4 will be your base year, but moving forward, it'll build from there. And then again, all of your parameters you've set on that will be there. So that will carry forward with the template that you save. I could spend a whole day on custom reports just because there's so much you can pull in, but basically the thing to remember with the enrollment data set, it is pulling literally every field that we have in the enrollment packet for youth and adults. One thing I have requested, and I do believe is on the development team's list, is the ability to filter from youth from adult. That by far and away has been the biggest feedback so far on custom reports, just to filter that data, what your target information is one step, further, just to help you all out on the front side. I think also the ability, do you need to filter by club? Do you need to filter by project? And some of that's a little bit more applicable to the county level, but I could definitely, from the state level, just, targeting your emails, correspondence, or pulling metrics, numbers, being able to drill quickly down to either I need numbers for youth or adult, and doing that quick is helpful. So any other questions on the reports?
You had mentioned this really quickly. There was one more that says, can you filter the waivers by event registration?
Let's see here. So this one is just pulling events, waivers. So on this level, running for your waiver reports through this menu, this is going to your surface level of just what is confirmed to and consented to at the time of enrollment, but this is a great segue for events. So we'll go ahead, and that was the next thing on the list, to go to events. So when you click on events, you have the ability to toggle on and off past events and county events. So once you toggle on for counties, then it'll give you a list of what they have. It'll tell you the region and what that event is being marketed to, as far as whether it's just for the demo county or if it's something that is going statewide. But let me go ahead and go into the event itself. So go back to registrations. So since we were talking about reports, when you click on registrations, you'll get a breakdown here on all of your registrations, what status they are in. You can filter, and so there, if you go to this little export button, this gives you an option to pull out attendees as a CSV file to go to Excel, list of attendees in a PDF, and then you can go into the attendee waivers. So with regard to this event, it's waiver confirmation. So if there is a waiver specific to the event, it'll appear in that. But then you're also including for your 4-H participants, okay, that confirmation is a good touch point, especially on the health side. Are there any changes that we need to be aware of with your child's health since the time of enrollment? It allows you to, if there needs to be a waiver specific to the event, it can be there. And then mom and dad are just confirming, okay, this information is correct. Yes. If you know for a fact that there's going to be pictures, okay, confirmation on the media release can be added in there, and you're not having to rebuild that every time. So I'll show what that looks like in a second. But when we go to attendee waivers, so then you can pull. So if either in this event, I didn't create a special standalone event waiver, but let's just say that, okay, all I need to know is the media release. I can select that, move that to this part, and then it'll export that information for those participants in one PDF file. So again, all of this can be accessible on your phone. So if there's somebody who comes in late or registers late, or you need to verify, maybe you don't have that paper trail when you're at registration, you're able to get. Now I see here for Sally, though, signatures aren't carrying through. So Sometimes there's a little hitch in the giddy up with functionality on the demo site versus the live site, but that it will pull those fields in. I will verify that with Jake just to be on the safe side though. Okay. Let me go back to the event section. So on events, when there's events for registration, you basically have 5 components to building that event. You have the event information, event registration form, your registration documents, which is the waivers, your payment adjustments, and email settings. And this information will appear on the calendar. If you have an event and you're just wanting to announce something to put it on the calendar, if you do registration is not required, it has 2 tabs. It'll have the event information and email settings. But basically you can put picture, you can put a description, the who, what, when, where, why, and how. You can add the support documentation, and that will load on calendars as well. So those are a couple options. But when you're building an event, in this example, we're doing a judging clinic. Didn't spell very well. There we go. But you can, again, I haven't maxed out the characters on this, but this description will carry forward when it shows up in the household. They get a ticker of upcoming events. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. You have some font and type settings that you can do. You can include a hyperlink. So if there's something that you need to link to your website, you can do that. You can identify if the event is all day, if it has a start time or end time. You identify the location. Okay, if it's going to be a statewide event, multi-county, you can specify that. Your contact person, I always recommend putting in the contact person. Otherwise, you're going to get the questions about the event. That's just the nature of the beast. And then registration information. So when you click registration is required, that prompts that, okay, in order to participate in the event, you have to register. Allow volunteer registration, yes. And then you can set up different registration fields for your volunteers. If enrollment is required, that means they have to be a 4-H participant to register for the event. If you have perhaps general public or FFA in the case of a judging event, you can allow participants without a ZSuite account to register. This will create a hyperlink. Then I need to work with Jake on some best practices on how to navigate specifically with judging events, how to handle, okay, what information how do we capture the information, the consent components for high school participants coming to a judging event representing FFA, and how do we capture some of those waiver components? Because in my experiment, if I added a separate waiver, then everybody has to sign everything. So I'll figure out how to make that a little bit smoother and have a tip sheet for that. But you can set your entry fee. You can designate online payments only. So that means if that box is checked, they have to pay. There is a checkout after they're done submitting their registration information, and payment basically is expected before they participate in the event. If you take that away, what the checkout will look like is it allows them to pay at the event or after the event. And you can also designate pay after approval. So you do have some payment options on there. So it just depends on the event. If payment is necessary before they go, online payments only is going to be your quickest avenue to facilitate that. Then you can set your registration window, date and time. And so you really need to be careful, like on that. I notice sometimes the clock likes to stick. So make sure you select your date, then making sure, okay, 8 a.m. is when I want it to open. And then being very cognizant of specifying, okay, when does the registration need to close, the securing on the date, and then what time. And then you can also set caps as far as the number of youth or number of adults. You can also set minimum age or minimum grades. On ages and grades, because of the 4-H year calendar, there is that calendar, the that the clock that's in there as far as what their age is very, very finite. So be, if there is a child that literally is on that cusp of being perhaps the cutoff between 11-year-old to 12-year-old, it is on the money. So there you will do, sometimes I have to do the verification with the age calculator. No, this is how old the child was. So you have an age parameter for this event, and that's why this individual can't register, because they're not age eligible. So it does do its job on that front. You can also set, if you want participants for this event to be, I thought there was a project connection. I think on the live side, you can filter an event specific to project types too. And that may appear, I'll have to verify that with Jake, but I think that is a setting as well. And then you have your ES237 type. You can, if you have an internal filing for events, you can add an event index. You can add in your overview information. Uploads are PDFs, or you can add a JPEG. So then once you get your event information set, you'll go through the registration form. And so basically, bear in mind, if registration is required, or if enrollment is required, so you have all of those enrollment fields. And even if this event is open to non-4-H participants, we're going to know their name. We are going to know, we can pull any of their other information as from their enrollment side into this event without having to add it back into the registration field. Now, that being said, with this event being open to outside, adding in that delineation, yes or no, and then that gets into a different line of questioning for the non-4-H participants. So I don't want to get caught in the rabbit hole, because I could spend a whole day on just going through the nuances of events. But you have the ability to, what I'm getting at is this section is specific to the event. We're not having to rebuild the packet. We're not having to ask the enrollment questions. You can really drill down to the information you need to capture for an event. And you have the ability on this registration field, like if you're doing a jackpot show or setting up sort of a horse show, that type of thing, you can enter in fee entry fields. So there's a lot of flexibility to this tool, and I'm happy to work with you all. If you have questions setting up for an event, because I know it's that time of the year, just let us know and we're happy to help on that. And you have the option to preview. So if you build all of your participant information, you can copy the participant fields. You just have to make sure you update those fields to your audience. Some of it you can get rid of. I'm a fan of, okay, I'm going to build the whole thing. I'll copy it and then I update what I need for adults. But make sure if you do that, okay, are you a 4-H volunteer? You can get rid of the age pieces, transportation, unless this volunteer is going to be bringing kids. Okay, those are good questions you want to ask of those volunteers. Your registration documents, and I touched on this before. So the beauty about having this integrated on the enrollment side, instead of having to rebuild in your code of conduct every time, your health form every time, this is confirmation. And you could add in the registration form just as an added layer. Have there been any changes to your health or your child's health since you enrolled for 4-H? A lot of states are using that as a little pulse point. And then, okay, if there's a yes, have a text field, they can disclose what it is, or if there's a change in medication. And then you can delineate what waivers you want to ask for the youth versus what you asked for the adult. As far as payment adjustments, it's very easy. Just designate what your dollar amount is. Negative values or a discount. If it's a plus, then that will be an added money into the above and beyond the registration field. Your start and end, that will be 2324, unless this is a carryover event. But for the most part, for a cleaner paper trail, keep it within the same 4-H year. And then you just describe, add in what that adjustment is for. And that will, the checkout line description, And then if there's any notes you need on the side. So you might have a scholarship amount, and if it's county specific, make that notation, and you can actually add that condition. You have the ability to apply it to a county. You have the ability to apply for a club. You may have the ability, or you do have the ability to apply a scholarship to specific individuals, set up project types, apply it to only youth or adult. And then if you want to really incentivize the early bird registration, you can kick off some money or a discount on that fee adjustment within a specified date range. So again, as there's a lot of layers to this onion, so if you have questions setting up events, I do have tip sheets, but Jake and I are happy to help you all out on that.
Erica, we've gotten a lot of requests for a separate training just for events, and I think
Yep.
that would be a good idea. So we'll get that set up.
Okay, we can certainly do that. No problem. That's great. And then email settings. So this email address that's listed here will default to the person who creates the event. But if there are additional people on your team that need to be notified on who gets the registration, just simply add those emails. And then you have the ability to add messaging. Okay, you've submitted your registration. Here is your next step. Volunteer, you've registered. Here's the next step. And on the live site, there's also registration approved. And I think there is another touch point. So that is a very condensed, very cursory preview of events, but it gives you a really good lay of the land on how much power there and tools that you have with making these events very effective for y'all. Were there any, I'm just trying to get a pulse point, but I'm going to power through the next topic. Okay. Calendar. So the calendar populates from the county level. It'll show your events that are at the state level. Those will appear in red. I don't know why this isn't showing. Well, we'll just hop over. State events show up in red. County events show up in an orange. And your club events from the household level will show up in green. And so at the county level, I'm in the Arkansas demo county here. I didn't mean to totally shift gears on you guys, but I just wanted to show that it populates with content. So what shows up on here is a result of what gets aggregated and put into the events pipeline, whether it's just events with registration or events without registration. And so then as that builds, you're going to see a lot of activity on there. Oh, there's a state event. So depending on the event, you can always include a hyperlink if you need that traffic to go to your website, but build the content in your event section. But this does go to the households. It goes top down to all of your users. So if you want to promote early your state events, this is a great way to do that. You'll also see here in the demo county, they have a built-in newsletters tab. So if there's content, we are working on building a state level newsletters tab, but this is viewable from the county. The county can add their newsletters. They can build a repository. This goes directly to the household as well. So our big impetus and the big thing for me is I like to mitigate the I don't know. So there's a lot of different tools to help connect the dots here. So I'm going to shift to managing accounts. So when you go to manage accounts, your first piece to appear here is your counties. And so sometimes this happens in the system, and we've been pushing out a lot of code. A lot. We have the vast majority of our client base is moving up to a new 4-H year, October 1. So stuck loading it does happen when we get updates. Control F5 is your friend. And basically that's pushing up. It's a forced push of that update. Okay, that code will go. I don't know why that's sticking. Okay, there we go. So from your state admin account, this is obviously going to populate all of your counties, but in the demo state, what this shows you is a snapshot of, okay, for this county, we have X amount of clubs, we have X amount of households, active member, active volunteer, and then you get a breakdown of pending. And so from the state level, this is a great way, kind of getting a finger point on, okay, what truly is our re-enrollment window? What work, if you have a lot hanging out here, we try to really remind our folks, like, if they're impending, then technically they shouldn't be doing 4-H engagement. You guys need to visit with your state office. And so we'll get questions in the chat. Well, what about this? Well, and I kick that traffic back to the state office or to the respective person they need to talk to if it's on an event. But they can't register for an event if they're not active status, and that goes for youth or adults, just so you guys are aware. Somebody will say, oh, well, yeah, I can do that. No, they can't. No, we don't want to, we are not in the business of setting very bad precedents. No. On the household side, so you will get a list. You can filter it by county. You can search by last name. So you may get phone calls. You can type in a first name, last name. From the state level, it may take a little bit to get the results because it's pulling all of your information at a state level. But when it populates, you can see in this household how many active enrollments there are. You can hot link into there, but this view as will take you in as you are actually logged in as the family. So as I mentioned earlier, okay, we set up our household. So after they set up their household, the person, once they set up that initial information, they'll be brought here and they will be prompted to add a household member. None of this will show, but look at how much shows right off of the family's dashboard. So like I said, we are in the business of connecting dots. We have right here, quick view upcoming events. I can see what our shared files are. I can see what announcements are. Oh, and I can get my county newsletter. And this is literally for the household. Once they get established, that's one click. So we will be doing, M&I have all of our county admin trainings. I will definitely go, okay, information is knowledge. Knowledge helps, mitigate those questions. It really returns numbers on engaging in events and truly getting your audience to come to here to get the information. Always re-support with your website, making sure your website is up to date. That's very critical, but this tool is very powerful, and especially if they can get all this information right on their phone. I mean, that is the meat and potatoes of what we're doing. But when you view as a household, so you can, and so this is a lot of what Jake and I do. We do a lot of viewing as household, and this is, I showed you the backside. Okay, we have enrollment fields, and those very much look like what we walked through on the event side. Your enrollments break down into 3 sections: personal information, the waivers, and then your club project selection. So any of the fields that are marked with an asterisk, it's required information. We're capturing all your demographic information. We're asking your t-shirt size. Text messaging, you will see a new button called communications, and that will push up with the October release. Right now it's a top down. So that means for admins only, state and county, you can push out text messages for events, registration, that type of thing. As we move forward, then you'll see more capacity for that. But have the contact information, household information. We work through adding in schools, demographics, asking your military service questions. Then your waivers are here, and I worked with Emma. We've got them branded for y'all, so it's consistency. We also have the extension affirmative action statement on the bottom of all of those, so your documents are all consistent and branded. They're all here. And then if we go to club selection, for a member, they're going to say, okay, I'm a member of this club. And then once they add in their club, they identify their projects and then just click submit. And if there's changes that they need to make, then they can go ahead, update that and hit submit. As far as other items that I've mentioned on that, so they get a preview of the events. Your primary household, again, is the gateway for enrollment and for event registration. And so when they click on the event tabs, it'll show, okay, we have these events coming up. And we have, you know, a lot of different things showing up for this household because we have kids involved in a lot of different clubs. But then you can see here we have an event registration, but this shows, this is how much information shows when you do kind of that description field. And so this is just a 4-H meeting announcement. If you have approved club, your organizational leaders have a personalized submenu. They get a sub tool. If they're a club leader, then here's their club. They get a home screen. They get club announced. They can make announcements for their clubs. They have reports. And so they can set and make events which populate on their kiddos' calendar of here's our meetings and here's what we're doing. We can share files. We can share with our kids the 4-H pledge, any kind of information they need for the club. Your enrollments, you have the ability to toggle, and I'm on manage accounts enrollments. You have the ability to take a look at enrollments. You can search for enrollments this way. You can search by youth, or you can toggle and search by adult. You can quickly see their enrollment status. And for your volunteers, the elements that show in the red column, here's your required trainings or your required elements for enrollment. So this is your background check, your mandated reporting, and then we have added an extra column, extra column to identify shooting sports training. So this is a text field. So if you have folks that are multi-certified, then you can add in what those disciplines are and the dates. Now, since we manage that, we are working on making the stars align and look a little neater on that front as far as a lot of folks are multi-certified, you know, different disciplines. So we've heard y'all loud and clear on that one. But you get a breakdown. Okay, when was the enrollment submitted? 4-H age does show, but this calendar or this dashboard is similar. So that's why that view's there for volunteers. But to approve, click on the name. Or actually, if you click on the name, that shows you their enrollment packet. To edit the requirements, if somebody needs to be moved to an enrollment status, or if something's happened with this volunteer, you can very quickly change them to canceled, which pushes them to an inactive status. Canceled has a lot of different meanings. Okay, inactive, or they didn't finish the 4-H year. You can also mark ineligible. You can return an enrollment, but it's a very easy way to do that. And then background check date, mandated reporting, those dates can be recorded on the calendar. One thing here on your notes, you have the ability to add enrollment comments and state comments. These are internal to you all only. Sometimes we unfortunately have the bad job of dealing with adults that tend to behave badly. And so if they've been removed from service in one county, they may try to do it in another. And I'm a big fan of that type of knowledge is power. It prompts a phone call if there's a comment, but those aren't external, but those are a very powerful internal tool for y'all. Lastly, group enrollments. Basically your number validation, and I did get that fixed, Emma, with Jake. We set up, once we roll over to New Year, that will default to 2324. Add in your total number of youth, and then name of program, your fields that are asterisks are required, your delivery method. Then there's a very clear breakdown here, total number of male, how many of these are enrolled, not enrolled, and then your carry forward section below here is just for your non-4-H participants. And then you can get your breakdown on your volunteers, their demographics if they're new, and then your training, and then click save. And so then as you add into this, you will be able to filter by 4-H year. So, and then the last thing I wanted to show, and I have to hop over to actually, Mailjet. So it's not visible right now on the demo, but if you, once you log into your state, you will see a dedicated tab called email. Our platform is Mailjet, so it's an external partner, but the benefit of this tool is it allows you to send emails. You get your metrics as far as tracking who has read their email, how many are dropped, bounce. So you get these delivery stats. And then the part that I really like, and this will take a little bit to load because it's external, but you can schedule your emails and you're not limited on the number of emails you can send. So several universities have reported to us, like literally you have a cap of being able to only send 250 emails a day. Not, if you're at the state level, that's, you can do that with one email. But the cool part about this is you can create a variety of templates. So, but the impetus is it's not boring and it's not unbranded. So your state logo is there. You can add in your footers, whatever you need to have from a university component, it's there. You generate your email list and then you sync it from the last time you've sent it. You send out your emails and like I said, you can schedule those. And so I have talked a lot, but if you all have questions, I hope I've tried to answer questions as much as I could, but we will definitely be doing another training, and we will definitely be doing a training targeted to events. But if there are questions that I can help answer between now and then, or as we roll over, please don't hesitate to reach out or start up a chat. That's what we're there for. My email is erica@zingbooks.com. But I'm so excited to have you guys on board, and as is the rest of the company. We're going to be at Pittsburgh. We're looking forward to that as well. So if some of you are going to be attending, see you there. But I have a few more minutes before you guys have to bail. I have 3 minutes. If there's questions that you have, I'm happy to answer what I can.
I also have a few that came to me directly, and so I have a list compiled, and so I will send that to you. Y'all, I'll send this recording out to you, and of course, I will let you know when we get that scheduled for the event training as well, which I think would be really, really helpful because we have a lot of events. So,
well, I hope from this it gives you a little reassurance that the look and feel is a lot more intuitive, perhaps, than what you've used in the past. We are so here to support. You're not going to blow it up. So by all means, please use that. And as a follow-up, Emma, if you could share with them the demo county login, it's there for you all, if you haven't already done that, to add in a test household, add in a test volunteer account, kind of get a look and feel, play around. I'm trying to add some more content in there so the reports actually quasi function for you guys. But it's a great way to kind of just learn how to navigate the system, because once you switch, it's going to look very much like that. And or play in that demo state account too, create some events, practice through with that, because that's that site, once your live site goes, that is your database. The demo site is your sandbox. That's your, and where it persists on for us is it allows us to test forward new things as you all move forward, whether it's the LMS, record books, that type of thing. But it is going to stay, and it's a great way for y'all to train on, and especially if you have staff turnover. So that won't change, but it's there for you all to use and explore. So I want you guys to feel comfortable with the platform, and really appreciate all of your time. And I will work with Emma on getting your questions answered. But thank you so much for your time, and hope you all have a great day.
Thanks,
thank you,
Erica.
Erica.
You bet.
See y'all soon. Thanks, Erica.
You bet.